Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. In this video I'm going to talk about my song of the month, and for April I have chosen the Beatles song You Got to Hide Your Love Away. And this song was released in 1965. And 1965, I think it's an interesting time for the Beatles, because it's really there I think they started to develop really and make more interesting songs. I've always loved the Beatles. I was raised by hearing the Beatles really. When I was around the age of 2, I could all the names of the Beatles members. So I have listened to their songs a lot, and my father is a huge Beatles fan. And I would say the Beatles is my favorite band, but I still think, it really in 1965, it's there they start to become the band that I love. And it's not to take anything against the music from the first years they have. I just don't know if the songs really resonate with me as much as their later works. And in 1965 they start to both develop in their melodies but also in their lyrics. They made more interesting songs. John Lennon wrote, for example, Help, and Paul McCartney wrote Yesterday. And even some of their collaborations worked much better, I think. For example, a song like We Can Work It Out. And even someone like George Harrison starts to develop as a songwriter when he wrote If I Needed Someone, which I think is a very underrated Beatles song. So what I think really changes in 1965 is that the Beatles start to mature. They are more self-reflective in their writing, and they also experiment in style. And when you look at a song like You Got to Hide Your Love Away, John Lennon was very much inspired by the songs of Bob Dylan. But I still think, this is a very personal song by John Lennon, really. There's a lot of depth to the song, I think. The melody is very nice. I think it's sweet, and it has a nice rhythm to it. And I also just love how John Lennon really sings the song. His voice changes through the song. For example, my favorite part of the song is when he sings, "How could she say to me, love will find a way?" Because in that sentence, his voice is almost bitter. It's almost like he is angry at that moment. And I thought it's a nice change in his voice. I'm not sure if I'm the only one who thinks that, but I really think he knows in the song how to be a bit more calm, and then he has to find some moments where he is a bit more aggressive. And perhaps You Got to Hide Your Love Away is a bit more, how should I say, romantic in a sense. But I think it's not a necessarily optimistic song. I think you can understand there is a conflict in the lyrics that is sort of part of John Lennon in himself. It's one of my favorite John Lennon Beatles songs, and I think it's also one of my favorite Beatles songs in general. And I would highly recommend it in case if you haven't listened to it. So thanks so much for watching this video. I also want to say thank you so much for all of my subscribers. I've just received 700 subscribers, so I appreciate that. And for next month, I would choose a Danish song, so that's going to be interesting. So yeah, stay tuned for that. I hope you will all have a very nice day. Bye.